2010s has been the decade in which anime finally made the step to mainstream. Of course, the 2000s had shows like Naruto, Bleach, Death Note and One Piece, plus Dragon Ball before, but I think the 2010s is when anime like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, and yes, even Sword Art Online managed to reach into mainstream media. So the 2010s should be the best decade for anime, right? Well, we are almost halfway through the 2020s. So how has this decade of anime been this far? In theory, it should be better, shouldn't it? We have better production possibilities and more talented story writers than ever. So let's see how the 2020s have been. Let's start with one of the best anime that started after 2020, Freedom Beyond Journey's End. This is what I mean when I say anime now should in theory be better than it has been. Freedom has amazing production and the story builds up upon stories we already have consumed. It basically is a fantasy after the average fantasy story of defeating the demon lord. There isn't much I can say to Freedom what hasn't been said. It's probably in my top 20 anime. I don't have a list, but probably. Continuing with your average shonen shows like Kaiju number 8, which just aired this year, and Solo Leveling, which also aired in 2024. Even though they only have one season, both have become pretty popular with mainstream viewers. And while both are pretty solid shonen, they are just that and not really much more. Obviously, we will, or I hope we will, get more depth, but both of these shows being your average show nowadays is actually a good sign generally. Apart from the more standard formula, we also have shows that are trying to be different and offer more, like Zom 100. Even though the studio had massive problems while airing, I think if you didn't watch it live in 2023 but binged it nowadays, it's one of the most refreshing shows about zombie apocalypses in any media, not only anime. Maybe because it actually utilizes the medium of being an anime and the usage of colors and being over the top and the whole goofiness that can't be replicated in most other media. Maybe it is because I didn't watch anime that actively outside of what's kinda popular in the 2010s, but we have gotten to a point where artistic and creative work is more popular than it has ever been. Not only Zom 100, but also shows like Bocchi the Rock, which is just insane at times with its jokes, but also has solid and especially relatable characters. We also have King's Ranking, where the main character is deaf and can't speak, but which also feels like a fairy tale story they would be telling in the medieval ages. Dungeon Meshi, also pretty big. Ultimate iceberg anime, because on the surface it's like goofy anime about eating monsters, and then bam, here comes dark magic and death and one of the best world buildings in recent anime. Then there are what I call the hype bombs. Shows like Oshinoko, Spy Family and Tokyo Revengers. Solid shows, of course, but my god did they become popular as fuck. I mean, some anime tend to become huge, but it's mostly shonen. And obviously Spy Family and Oshinoko had really popular manga, but the stuff went beyond plus ultra. Everyone and their mom knew about Anya and the weird romance choices the mangaka of Oshinoko decided to take. Tokyo Revengers is like even weirder. I mean, most anime blew up but died out in season 2, and so did Tokyo Revengers, but nobody got more hate than Tokyo Revengers, and people loved that shit when it first came out. I remember every girl in the world losing their shit over Mikey and Dragon. While the manga really turned into shit, the anime literally just adapted the best arc of the show. So any dickhead hating who is anime only is just trying to be edgy and has no opinion other than what their favorite YouTuber feeds them. Which would be okay if it was me. Don't understand me wrong, you know? I don't have a problem if you just mindlessly watch all my videos and subscribe. Alright, moving on. Mushoku Tensei also came out this decade, which is weird because the light novel came out in like 1957, but the anime came out in 2021 and I have yet to pick it back up. I mean, still, people have been claiming it's the best isekai, so I'm gonna trust y'all on that shit. I feel like isekai got less popular by time. It definitely peaked in like 2015 to 2017. Other decent shows like Hell's Paradise or Heavenly Delusions, which are good shows. Yeah, that's it. Just thought I should mention them. Or Taxi, Pluto, To Your Eternity is also very good stuff that became big by focusing on the story rather than anything else, showcasing that this decade has been one of somewhat diverse storytelling. Okay, these are all good shows, but let's focus on the two big boys of this decade. First one, maybe the best show in its genre. In my opinion, the manga already is, and with the new season coming in fall, the anime also will have gold status. Blue Lock. Blue Lock fully took advantage of when it came out, just like Freedom. The mangaka looked at all the other sports anime and was like, yeah, let's do the complete complete opposite of them. One for all, more like all for me, bitch. There aren't really that many great sports anime, and the trend of sports shows only came relatively recently with like Kuroko no Basket and Haikyuu. And yes, I know Captain Tsubasa and Slam Dunk, but those were like the only shows for like 30 years. So Blue Lock just came along and turned everything we knew about sports anime upside down and made everything we liked even better. You like the big cast in sports anime? Well, guess what? Blue Lock has like 20 main characters. If you like the epic moments in like Haikyuu or Kuroko no Basket, well, Blue Lock has won every episode basically. However, the biggest hitter that came out this decade has to be Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, how couldn't it? I know I geeked a lot about Blue Lock, but what can I even say about Jujutsu Kaisen? Nothing really, so let's just skip it. Don't skip, don't click off. I know people want me to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, so chill, I'ma talk about it. Season 1 was pretty good, nothing crazy. I know it had crazy hype and people praised it to the moon, but we all were in quarantine because of the big C word, which is responsible for so many anime getting postponed, by the way. So there's that, but also Season 1 wasn't all that. It was good, nothing more. The Shibuya incident though. Manga readers really ran kidding. I don't wanna hear no smartass saying the story is mid, cause the story is mid, but all the hands thrown in Jujutsu Kaisen could have fed generations of battle shonen. It was peak after peak after peak. Fucking everyone was watching that shit, and deservedly so, man. It's one of the best straight battle shonen, not counting adventure and fantasy and shit, but purely battle shonen. I wanted to make it cheap. We also have Boruto joke, but dang, that show came out in 2017. Judging only shows that came out this decade would not be fair though, as we also watched the continuations of shows that came out earlier. So let's talk a little bit about them. Very good shows like Haikyuu, Re:Zero, Fire Force, Doctor Stone and Konosuba got one or more seasons, which were all as good as the prior seasons. We also have a lot of heavy hitters that finished this decade. Attack on Titan season 4 dropped, and then part 2, and then part 3, and then part 4, and then Attack on Titan ended last year, and while the manga ending got criticized heavily, I think most anime watchers were happy with the anime ending. Kaguya-sama season 2 and the final season also aired, so most of Love is War was in the 2000s. And while I am not a romance anime expert, I'm pretty sure it's one of the biggest rom-com anime out there. With the unique storytelling and type of joke, it also actually came to a conclusion. Unlike other frauds, we also have The Promised Neverland. It existed, there's no denying. Two of the most well-written anime also concluded. Well, Mob Psycho did, and while I liked season 2 better than season 3, season 3 was still peak and set the show off perfectly, giving every character a perfect ending. The other show didn't actually conclude. I don't know why I said that, but Vinland Saga had such a crazy character conclusion, it might as well have been the end of the story. I know people have been hating on season 2 a little bit, but I am not overestimating when I say that this was one of the best written things in any media. The character arc Thorfinn went through and the insane contrast to season 1 was so good I could talk about it for hours. From peak writing to an anime that's, let's just say, not known for its writing. Yeah, let's put it that way. Demon Slayer season 2 and everything after came out after 2020. And also is kinda more of a 2020s anime than 2010s. I know it's popular to hate on Demon Slayer. I mean, that's what I did like 5 seconds ago. But with its crazy action sequences, it not only managed to become one of the most popular anime of our time. The manga sales in Japan have absolutely shattered prior records. And it put anime even more onto the Western world with how many people watch it. The upcoming movies are all gonna have top 50 box office records. Mark my words. Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc also happened. Listen, I barely read like 100 chapters of Bleach, so sorry I can't say more about that, but I know that it was like a huge deal, right? Anyways, while talking about one of the big three, let's switch to the best of the big three. One Piece. I feel like this decade has been where One Piece truly has become proper big. Don't understand me wrong, One Piece has always been big, but Wano Kuni, Luffy vs Kaido, Gear 5, One Piece actually starting to give us information we waited 25 years for, like who's Dr. Vegapunk, pushed One Piece to an absurd level of popularity. Alongside the live action and its upcoming new anime, One Piece can end this decade as the biggest anime of the 2020s. Well, if Dragon Ball doesn't return before 2030, which quite honestly I think may not happen at this point, and I'm not counting you, Daima. By the way, if I forgot any anime that defined this era, let me know in the comments. Obviously, I can't watch everything because I also have a life. But lastly, I wanted to talk about an anime that gets a lot of hate, even though it will end with its last season. Well, every anime ends with its last season. Never mind. And it will go down as one of the most well-known shonen, My Hero Academia. While stuff like Demon Slayer or Vinland Saga started towards the end of the 2010s and can be considered the anime of the 2020s, I think My Hero Academia can't be pinpointed to just one decade. I know people don't like the fanbase, but stop projecting the fanbase into the anime. The anime, while it had ups and downs, has been good. I'm not saying perfect, but good. Especially the war arc in season 6 and the preparations for the last war in season 7 have been quite good. And I feel like the final war arc is about to leave the fans with a good last impression rather than a bad one. Whatever you think about My Hero Academia, you still gotta acknowledge that it was one of the most popular anime for almost a decade now. So what's the conclusion? Maybe it's just me, but I think the anime that have become popular in the 20s are much more diverse and creative than they have ever been. While most would still prefer old shows like Naruto or Bleach or Dragon Ball, it's clear shows like Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, My Hero, and even Solo Leveling have reached a lot more people a lot faster than the shows beforehand. I'm not saying they are bigger, but I'm saying they could be, and that you should put off your nostalgia glasses, you big baby. You're an adult now. We have to see how relevant they will remain in the future. All in all, I think the 20s have been awesome. Let me know if you prefer the 2010s or the 20s in the comments. And I'm sick of saying 2020 and 2010 and 20 anything. Bye!